If you really want to up your video production game, I always say there's one thing you should focus on, and that's not cameras or lenses, although those things are important on some level. It's lighting. So if you want a small budget but seriously professional light kit, the Zhiyun Mullis B-Series lights might just be exactly what you want. Now, I've been testing out one of their lights for a few weeks now, and so far I'm really liking it. So between weddings, fashion photography shoots, and a few other things, I've got a pretty good grip on what this light can do and what it's good for. So yeah, they are releasing this entire series. We got a 100, 200, 300, and not quite a 600, but a 500 watt light. Those are coming in at a price of $299, $359, $539, and $719 respectively. And while the price is just about in line with other lights of, similar quality, the real strength here in a lot of ways is the size, which is much smaller. And that's the first thing I noticed about this 200 watt that they sent me. Right away, I was like, this thing is tiny. And I picked it up and I knew this thing was incredibly light. Now, comparing it to a few other lights just on the spec sheets, it's at least a half a pound lighter than some of these other lights out there, coming in at just over 3 pounds, which is kind of incredible. And that's just for the light and the bracket and everything. But there's no power brick or converter or control switch on this thing. So when considering that, it is actually much lighter than a lot of lights that need some type of adapter for your power. A lot of this has to do with heat sinks and a bunch of other stuff I don't really completely understand, but because of the fan system and how it processes that power, it can take a lot more power in a much smaller package without getting super hot, which is great. So yeah, while the features, the output, and the price is just about in line with what I would expect from like a mid-priced light like this, the size is seriously impressive and could actually be really handy for a lot of things, or at least just a little bit convenient. So it comes in this box too, which kind of doubles as a case. Like, I feel like this case could be a little bit smaller, to be honest. Like, I feel like this could fit in a slightly smaller package, and I probably will repackage this, especially because I don't usually use the dish, although it's a really big effective dish, so that's cool. But this light, I've put this thing in a backpack before, which is crazy. Like, I'm just like, I might bring it, I'll just throw it in a backpack. And this is the power supply, so pretty compact overall. Oh, and I couldn't 100% tell online from the pictures, but it kind of seems like the 100 and 200 have a very similar body style and size, and the 300 and 500 have a similar style, just with different fixtures and some internals. So, and weight, of course, they all kind of jump up in weight, but yeah, not bad. So while I think the packaging it comes in is nice to store it for transportation, I don't usually need the dish, so it can be a little bit much. So a lot of times I'll just end up putting this in a backpack or something. But while we're talking about the packaging, and let's just go right into the build quality of this thing. As far as aesthetics goes, it's got a really cool industrial kind of futuristic, brutalistic vibe to it that I kind of like. We've got like, exposed parts and grates and fans and all that stuff, which is, I don't know, I think it looks kind of cool. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know. This is where I see a lot of cheap lights go wrong, is the bracket here. The knobs are very decisive when tightening them down, loosen. Very decent quality here. Maybe not the highest quality ever, but very, very good. And I also love this. There's a tiny little place to hold an umbrella, which for a light this small, having the ability to use like a small umbrella instead of a massive softbox to get some kind of soft light in the small package, which again, kind of the whole deal with this guy. I think it was a really great decision to include this, and I wish more lights had umbrella holders, because it can be really handy. Umbrellas just end up being some of the smallest ways to get a decently soft light. Although not perfect for every situation, they'll do in a pinch. The front up here, by the way, features a standard Bowens mount, which is kind of just like not set in. It's kind of just these little clips, which is fun. And it's got a release on one side, which it works pretty well actually. And again, a lot of metal here, not all metal, but a lot of metal in the construction, especially at the mount here by the Bowens mount. I love Bowens mount, and I hate when there's like proprietary mounts or stuff that's not Bowens mount. I just have so many adapters that, you know, I just wanted to clarify, it is Bowens mount. And the only controls are really the switch to turn it on and 2 dials, which can be used to adjust, of course, our white balance from 2700 to 6500 Kelvin, and the brightness, which goes up and down from 0 to 100. And the lower percentages, like the 1, 5, 10%, whatever, they actually look like the values they're representing, whereas some other budget lights, it's set to 1%, but it looks more like 10, 15%. So none of that here. They adjust really smoothly. You can jump up with the click. It just makes it really easy. Sometimes it's a little too sensitive or not sensitive enough. I feel like this is a good middle ground. And all of that is viewable from the back little screen on this light, which is just about as good as it needs to be. Like usual, right? We don't need the most high-end screens in our lights, especially when most of the time you're probably going to be controlling this with the app, which does work really well, and I definitely should have used for the wedding and fashion shoot, but I did not install it on my phone. So don't be like me and get the app. It is so much more handy than trying to go up on top of your stand or like bring your stand down every time you need to change a setting. That's not the move, especially without the controller here. Your phone is the controller now, so you're gonna want to use that for sure. But yeah, the experience so far has just been really solid. It lets me put the stands up really, really high with a relatively lightweight light. So you're not bringing in these massive lights for a wedding reception or something like that. It kept up with the photo shoot, comparing it to like, you know, some 300 watt lights I was using to light the background. This 200 watt light showed up and did a really good job illuminating my subjects, getting that nice cache light with a softbox beauty dish modifier, and just overall the size lets me be really flexible with the type of stand I put it on, how high I put it up. I don't need to use the craziest sandbags, although I still do. It's just a nice flexible little light, and personally I would love to take a look at some of the bigger lights like the 300 and the 500, but you know, I honestly think this 200 might be the perfect light for a lot of people because it's powerful, 200 watts, which is good enough for a lot of things. But the biggest thing I was thinking of was the price. This is about 360 bucks, and the 300 watt is 540 bucks. Going from the 100 to the 200 is like 60 bucks or something like that. Going from the 200 to the 300 is like 150 bucks maybe. And then after that, it's even a bigger jump to the 500. So the 200 watt is actually really, really well priced, I think. I mean, they're all well priced, but especially this one feels like a really, really good value, especially you don't have any bicolored lights, which are just so convenient for a lot of things. So like, especially events and things that I do. So yeah, I really love this light. I think it's really great. And that's it. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. I'll see you when I see it.